Alright, oh, let's give this another try. Three, two, one, go. So this is going to be Super Metroid 100%. We'll be, well, going through series again.
Now, to clarify, this is 100% item completion, not 100% map completion.
Yep, so here's Series Ridley, where I'll be trying to take 5 hits from the tail.
The two ways to end the Ceres Ridley fight are take enough damage to get below 30 energy, or to hit Ridley with the power beam 100 times. You can guess which one is faster.
I took some seam to the face.
Hey, you made it out before SMI would kill you.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of RAM hacks greatly reduce the amount of time that you have to do that section.
SMI or Super Metroid Impossible only gives you 20 seconds for Ceres Escape. Most other hacks that include Ceres Escape give you 30, which is plenty of time if you're experienced with the game. So now we're going to be heading into the planet proper to begin collecting items. If I didn't introduce myself, I am Riker Rider.
Yep, and I'm Stump.
Now, whenever there is time, just idle time where Samus is just running, a Stump is going to be cycling between aim up and aim down. That's a movement technique called arm pumping. Every time he presses a shoulder button while moving horizontally, it pushes Samus forward 1 pixel, and that will save a handful of seconds throughout the run. It doesn't seem like much, but it will add up, especially in 100% item completion. Oh, no pitless.
Yeah, we got a brief visit to Blue Star here. Collecting 2 items. Technically, I could collect a third, but without going up and down the elevator to spawn the enemies, it would be ridiculously difficult to. Although the newest RBO route does do it.
RBO being reverse boss order, which is arguably the most difficult Super Metroid category. Just collecting 2 items down here. There are other items that he can reach, but he won't be able to. He won't be able to come back here conveniently until the very end of the run. The second Retro Star visit is one of the last things that we do. And collecting those 2 items in particular does activate the planet, and it fills criteria with... it fills criteria, at least West criteria, with the weakest enemies in the game. So now we're coming up to the room that we like to refer to as Climb. Every room in this game has a name. If you're interested in seeing every single room name, we will not mention all of them, but we will mention the major ones. You can go to our website, which is wiki.supermetroid.run. It's a very nice climb. So now we're going to be heading back into the parlor. The reason why this room is called the parlor is because it's the first room that you visit. And we will be heading down to fight Bomb Chorizo to collect our Morph Ball bombs.
And this time I'm going into that fight with full health, which is very helpful because it means that the projectiles that I shoot out of the air can only drop missiles.
That is correct. The drop system in Super Metroid is very smart in that it tries to give you what you need, and if you are at capacity for that particular type of drop, it will remove that drop from the pool. So if you are very low on energy, you'll get more energy drops. And if you are at full health, you will get only missile and power bomb drops.
I was trying to leave some of those drops there.
No damage.
Yep, no damage.
And we are going to be coming up on what is usually the first trick that Super Metroid runners learn, Alcatraz Escape. He's going to be doing a series of precise wall jumps and a mid-air morph to get out of this shaft without using bombs. Without using bombs. Very well done. That saves about 8 seconds.
I was a little bit too close to that last bomb before it went off.
This next room is called the Terminator Room. The reason why it's called the Terminator Room is because you'll be back.
Well, that big drop was good to get. More chance for missile drops from the others. Because I am about to need all 5 of those missiles again.
In a casual playthrough, you would have 10 missiles at this time, but it is much faster to collect that second pack of missiles in Retro Brinstar on your way back there from at the end of the game. So we are going to be heading into Green Brinstar, and you will see our first major sequence break of the run, the Monk Ball to early supers. What he's going to do is he's going to jump through this door transition to preserve his momentum, and then he'll morph right when he lands to preserve his speed in Morph Ball form, which will let him get under those gates that normally require Speed Booster to obtain super missiles early.
This cuts out the Spore Spawn fight. Combined with a trick that I'll be doing on our revisit through here with some more items.
The Spore Spawn fight is very, very slow. It's actually only done in 2 categories. It's done in Mini Boss RTA, and it's done in 100% map completion. That's it. No one likes Spore Spawn. Get used to hearing this item fanfare. We're going to be hearing this fanfare for, 11 minutes?
Around that. And we'll be hearing that tune a total of 101 times. $100 of those will be for item collection.
So now we're going through a room called Big Pink. It's the largest room in Pink Brinstar, and it has a lot of items. Very few we will be collecting on this pass.
Right.
That missile pack in particular will be collected on our second trip through. We're mostly coming here for Charge Beam.
Alright, this is a very important item because of it gives me a source of fairly good damage that is not subject to any ammo limits, only to having to charge it.
Yes, ammo management is very, very important in this run, especially super missile count. And that's everything we will be doing in a Green Bryn Star at this time.
Yep, and
So
now
we'll
we'll
head
go
through,
down Red Tower.
head down Red Tower and over to Kraid's Lair. He will be our first of the Golden Four. Now, the goal of the game is to defeat all 4 of the Golden Four bosses to gain access to Turian, where Mother Brain is. And here Stump will be picking up another upgrade in firepower in the form of the Spazer.
Yep, this makes my beam wider and makes it do more damage. A little bit short on the jump there.
And what Stump is doing here is a minor sequence break as well. What the game expects you to do is go down the elevator to get high jump, but with a well-positioned wall jump, you are able to get into Kraid's Lair without it.
Yep, and that removes a 2 elevator trips, which are very long.
We are coming up to the first boss, Kraid. And very conveniently, the mini Kraid will fill up your super missiles.
Yep.
Because he is going to need super missiles. Hopefully Stump can redeem himself after last night for taking Kraid to prom. We don't want to take Kraid to prom.
Yep, we do not want the crate stand-up glitch.
Nice. Very well done.
Yeah, because of that, the screen remains confined to that lower left corner of the room, so I needed to go over to the right door blind.
And now Stump will get his Varia suit, which will give him heat protection and allow him to safely traverse Norfair.
Yep. There's... It's so nice when Varia is that easy to find.
It is, unlike it being in Turtle Rock.
I jumped through that previous door so that those enemies would spawn a little bit higher and not get in the way of that movement.
And unfortunately, we will need to leave an item behind in Kraid's Lair. There is a missile tank that we are unable to get because we need power bombs. It's the single biggest reason why 99% runs of this game happen, because people forget to go back and get that item.
I don't...
Now we'll be
I
heading.
wouldn't be sure if that one is, because that would result in a massive, unexpected gold. But that is definitely a... there are plenty of... there are other easily missable missiles that one might forget about. A few rooms from here will be coming up to one of those. But first we gotta get high jump.
Because without the high jump boots, we can't actually do much in the heated areas of Norfair.
Right. Right near the beginning of the first one, there's a large jump that, well, where you either need to use high jump or bomb jump up it. But here we go.
And now that Stump has super missiles, he will be able to open the red doors much more quickly.
It is very easy to forget this missile. Especially since there aren't items in the rooms before and after it, so you can sort of go into any percent mode and not get it.
Just a general point of advice, don't run multiple categories of the same game at the same time. The conflicting muscle memory will make your attempt not end well. Now we'll be heading into a Bubble Mountain. This is a big hub in Norfair. Although not really a sequence break, that somewhat difficult wall jump is a big time save because you would have to go through several rooms that you only see in map completion.
Yeah, also that cack attack at the top can snipe you out of the air with its spikes.
He's called King Cack Attack for a reason because he is the king of that mountain, and he will let you know he is the king of that mountain.
The true final boss of the game. But now this long hallway leads us to going really, really fast, which we want to do. I also have to get some super missiles. Now, there's another beam upgrade coming up.
There is, and this is also technically a sequence break, but there's a very easy workaround if you know how to wall jump. We are going to be picking up a beam upgrade here, and you are expected to have grapple beam. We'll be picking up wave beam here.
Yep.
The wave beam allows Samus to shoot through walls.
Yep, and it also increases the amount of damage that the beam does. At that wall, that through walls property is going to be becoming very useful here by letting me pre-kill the enemies in these tunnels.
And once you pick up wave beam, this is where the different 100% routes diverge. What Stump is going to be doing is the early Crocomire route.
Yep, the late Croc route would have gone left from that room rather than down. So here we are at Crocomire.
This is the early Croc route, I believe, is the easier of the two routes.
Yes, much easier.
Because I want to say the late Crocomire route, doesn't that require a CWJ?
No, you can spark across
Oh, you
the
can
mode.
speed boost, yes.
But it also requires getting to Rexia B-Tank without grapple, and it requires doing Ice Clip to Shackle. And letting Croc's first phase die off screen to reduce lag. And then I fired a wave shot upright from pressed against the bottom corner of that wall. That wraps around the room and opens the door on the left side of it. And after we deal with phase 2, you will see why. So, Crocomire phase 2.
I'm sure this scared everybody their first time through the game.
And this is why we pre-opened the door with the wraparound shot. Getting across to the first pack of power bombs.
So a couple interesting things about Crocomeyer's area. Crocomeyer's room is not heated. This room is heated. This hub after Crocomeyer, not heated.
No, none of the rest of Crocomeyer's area is heated. Only that room that has the power bombs in it. Oh, almost made it through without hitting anything.
Nice. And then just lava tide on the way back.
Yeah. Interestingly, that jump can be made without high jump. But here we have the grapple beam. Something that we will not be using very much, but still is something that's needed. Also, we have the best mock ball in the game.
That is an amazing mock ball.
I was trying to damage boost off the top of that over to the missile here and then spark back, but I was a little bit short on the first jump. Yep, that's cosine room. And here I'll, because we do have a very tough fight coming up, I will, and I need the supers, I will farm back to full here.
Yes, we have arguably the most difficult boss fight in the game coming up, especially in this category, considering how well stocked you'll be for later bosses.
Yeah, having all the items makes the last couple of boss fights
Pretty trivial.
yeah. Like, those fights barely exist. So here's one of the places where I will use grapple.
If you are looking into running this game, I would highly recommend starting with 100% item completion. It's one of the most accessible categories that we have.
Yes, the first couple of once you're past Fantoon and past Spiky Death Room, rooms that we will be seeing very soon.
The rest of the run after that
The
is
rest
just
of it
easy
is-
modo.
Yeah, the hardest part of the run after that is remembering to get all the items.
Couldn't quite get the door cap out of the way.
You may have noticed that we did not get ice. We have ways to get past everything that casually would require ice.
Very well done. This room is called the Hellway. You can see why.
Thankfully, all those spikes make it easy to damage boost through.
I know a lot of people playing the game casually will actually take high jump off for that room.
And this room, we've seen this a couple times before, but there's there are commonly places where there will be some item easily visible in a room, and then there will be missiles hidden somewhere around it.
Those are some of the most well-hidden items in the game.
Sometimes for new
and that
items, and that power bomb pack is normally supposed to be the first one that you collect. Uh, Getting the missile will involve using the item that you just got.
And now we will be headed up to the wrecked ship and everybody's favorite ghost. I agree with the save.
Yeah. Marathon safety.
Just in case Fantoon and Spiky Deathroom decide to not cooperate. So, Ocean Fly?
I typically like to grapple across this in 100. Because then there's no need to set the first spark up.
I mean, you just get most of it here anyway.
Yep, and here we are at the wrecked ship. Now, before we turn the power back on here, we will take advantage of a particular property of these spikes relative to the power, which is that they need power to hurt you.
The next boss we're about to fight is the single biggest reason why Super Metroid has the highest quit rate of any game on Speedruns Live. He's not as much of an issue in this category as he is in other categories, such as any percent. So because of a lack of firepower the fastest way that he will be able to kill Fantoon is to, when he charges at you, to time a bunch of missiles to shoot him to hit him at the same time, known as Doppler strats, after the real life Doppler effect. Or are you going about that this way? This makes sense for a marathon, though. This is more consistent.
Yeah, you can use the wave special beam attack against Fantoon as well, but it can be difficult to properly position that attack, and if some of the particles survive, then they prevent you from using from shooting anything until the particle despawns or hits something.
Well done.
Yeah. Now, if that super missile had not killed Fantoon, then it would have resulted in rage phase. Something I could have easily gotten through by using the pseudo screw attack from holding a charge and jumping through the waves of fireballs that there would be, but he wouldn't be attackable at that point, so that would waste almost 20 seconds.
If you're new to the game, there is actually a strategy for fighting Fantoon that involves intentionally raging him once.
Yep, and now that the power is back on, lot more uh, of the rooms have opened, including 2 super packs that we'll be seeing here in quick succession.
No, but Stump will need to be careful around these spikes, because the metal spikes, now that the power is on, do 30 damage with Variasuit. Now, without Variasuit, they do 60.
And now we're approaching a room that is known as Spiky Death Room.
Yes, this room coming up is Spiky Death Room.
Yeah, because of not only those spikes on the ceiling and floor, but these falling spike platforms. If you take a hit from one of those, that's an entire tank.
It's without a doubt the hardest room in 100%. And you have to go through it twice.
There we go.
Great recovery. Great recovery. That looked really scary.
Yeah, the spikes at the bottom of the water there don't do that much damage, though. Not as much as the one. I mean, what I mean, they still do. They still do something like what the spikes here do, but the space. Did I kick through that?
I think you KO'd through the spike platform.
Yeah, that's something that can happen that is really bad. But there would be pretty much wide open space above the spikes at the bottom of that pool that would have made them easy to escape from. So I probably would have only taken 1 hit from them.
And falling through a spike platform like that is... that's just a result of the way this game's physics are. If you turn around on the same frame that you hit that you hit a lot of surfaces in this game, you'll fall right through them.
So much spark RNG here, and not in my favor. Yet again. That prevented me from doing a shine spark through the enemies to the left of this. But I had to pre-kill those to unlock the door to this room, and I pre-opened the left side so I don't have to kill all of the enemies in that room again when I'm coming back from this room.
That room is called the Attic, and it's a very difficult room to optimize. Robots, please.
Yeah, these robots can really interfere with things if they decide they want to. Getting those missiles without that spark requires either coming back with more movement items or long rides on the moving platforms that are around.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me how long those platform rides are. Sometimes strange situations can come up in things like item randomizer, where you can be forced to take those.
Oh, we've got Bowling Spark.
We do have Bowling Spark. So this is the one break that Stump is going to get.
Well, since this isn't rando, there is still G4, but this
Oh
is
yes, it
the
is.
main mid-run break. I just have to let Bowling Chorizo do his thing. And the wave shot expanded as I jumped on top of that first robot to start pushing the second one rightward. And that reserve tank, well, there is one more item in direct ship, the most important one.
That being gravity suit.
Yes. And this reduces damage I take to a quarter and also lets me move through water as though it were not there. Which is going to be quite important for Meridia.
Because suitless Meridia physics are terrible. Taking a refill at the ship.
Yes, definitely. I can't make the sparks otherwise. That's one of the things that can happen when you take so much damage on your way back through Spiky Death Room. And this will also allow an extra safety save because why not?
'Cause you never know what can happen in this game. You can just
Ah, normally I like to charge up and spark through there, but yeah, since I missed the charge, I'll just do this. Especially since I have full health from the ship refill.
And then after collecting these power bombs, he's going to set up one of the coolest shine sparks in the game called Gauntlet Spark.
Yep, and that begins with a wraparound shot. There we go. Oh, I ship refilled, so there's no need for that.
Because normally he would need to use bombs or power bombs on all of those walls, and it takes a long time.
Yeah. I can also, it's also possible to delay that until you come back through with Space Jump and Screw Attack on your way to the statue room, but that's not as fast as sparking through would be. But at the end, there are also these two packs of missiles.
Thankfully, there's a good visual cue for obtaining these.
Yes. Those two columns of crumble blocks, if you don't position yourself right, you'll end up going down only one of them. And then you can get only one of the missile packs unless you go all the way back around.
That's about, I want to say, a minute and a half time loss if you have to go all the way back around.
Not as much because you can do the second pass on your way into Torian, but still quite a bit.
So now that we have collected the gravity suit and a couple of other items, we can go clean out the rest of Brinstar.
Right, there were a good number of items in Brinstar that we weren't able to get the first time because we didn't have the necessary items to access them, most notably power bombs. So it is time to go get them.
The first place we're going to be heading down to is the Etikun room.
Yep, and this is where that extra item fanfare will be. One of the nice things about these long rooms that have spikes on their ceiling is that the spikes make it easy to damage boost through them. And this is the only time we will be seeing the animals this run.
And that's where you learn to wall jump.
Yes.
That is the only room in the game that expects wall jumps to get out. Very nicely done. That short hop mock ball is not the easiest to learn.
Yeah, doing that causes you to get all the way across the shaft rather than falling down it when you move out of that passage in ball form.
And then falling past those speed booster blocks that he jumped over is how you're expected to learn how to shine spark.
Now, what I did there was I positioned that power bomb so that it would both clear the way into this next room and open a yellow door that's on the right wall. Yeah, hopefully I can get Mission Impossible strats here.
Oh, so close.
Yeah.
What he was trying to do is he was trying to quickly jump up the shaft before the crumble block reformed. And the reason why that's called Mission Impossible is because people thought that that was impossible for a long time. And this is the other trick that lets us not fight Spore Spawn and obtain his super missiles. It's called Spore Spawn Skip.
Yep, we just went into the exit of the path after Spore Spawn, where what's normally supposed to be the first pack of super missiles is.
And sniping that super missile from off screen is a lot more difficult than it looks. I believe there are just a handful of pixels that work.
Yeah, that block there needs to be super missiled, but it's far enough off screen that if you fire a super missile right into it, the super missile despawns before it hits the block. So you have to fire it on the right pixel to have it hit the block before it's far enough off screen to despawn.
Then after picking up Green Hill Missile, I believe that's everything on this side of Brinstar.
My shot didn't hit the door. I could have damage boosted through it, and that always looks so nice when it happens. And this is when we get this missile pack.
That missile also. It's just faster to pick it up this time through.
Yeah, because I'm waiting for a power bomb to explode. And the lack of both power bombs and speed booster is the reason why I had to leave this item behind.
Because this room is waterway. People who play item randomizer do not like this room.
Yeah, you don't need gravity suit because you can charge a shine spark on the passage that I'm going under right now, and then shine spark left through the speed booster blocks. But speed booster and power bombs are still a hard requirement. I was going to diagonal spark up to the top of this room. And then I'm about to lay a power bomb here that's going to look like it didn't do anything, but it actually opened a yellow door that's in the upper right part of the room, so that I will not need to wait for a power bomb to explode when I'm going towards it when I'm doing the final item cleanup at the end of the run.
And I believe this is... Do we get Crane Missile on this trip?
Well, there's Meridia to do first. And here we're entering the next major region of the game. This is Meridia.
The way you're supposed to get this is you're supposed to charge a Shine Spark in the room to the right, but with a short charge, and a fairly easy short charge at that, you can get this. You can get that item in room. That room is called Main Street. I believe that's a one tap short charge.
I did a 2. But for the door transition before that one, I was trying to jump right immediately before it, because you can get to... You can end up on the right wall of that first passage up if you jump on the last possible frame. But I was too late.
And I don't think we really ever covered what a short charge was, so if you'd like to explain what a short charge is, you may.
Alright. So when you're running with Speed Booster, on a particular frame of the running cycle animation, as long as you are running with the button held, a counter increases. And that counter reaching 4 is what gives you speed echoes and then allows you to charge a spark if you then crouch while moving. And so by not using the run button, except around that the first couple of instances of that frame of the animation, you can get speed echoes and charge a spark not in less time, but in less distance. And that can let you get charges when you in places where you normally wouldn't be able to. Oh, ouch.
Yes, those spiked crustacean enemies in Meridia, those are called Ouch.
Yep, that is actually their name. That missile slightly missed.
The watering hole, the beach missile specifically is another missile that's easy to forget in 100%. I've definitely forgotten that one before in races.
And here we reach a big room called Aqueduct.
No, there's a lot of items around the Aqueduct.
And I'll be passing through it a few times, mainly due to there being the 2 different sand pits at the bottom of it, which are one way. but both of which have items.
That's another instance of a short charge being very useful.
Yeah. Hey, audio cue. All right. Oh, one super away from that being a one round. Like, Batoon should be dead. Oh, wait. One more.
Still a nice fight, though.
I should have hit him during that slime cycle with one more to be sure. But what I did there was one of the special beam attacks at the beginning of that fight. The X Factor, which is the special.
Oh, so close. So what he was going for was a trick called the Haffy. It's a very tight shine charge that allows him to shine spark through the first half of this room called Coliseum.
Hopefully, we'll be seeing reverse Haffy after this fight.
There is a more advanced version of that trick as well called the full Haffy,
Yeah.
but that is extremely difficult. The trick was originally named the Haffy because it clears half the room.
So here's the next major boss fight. This is Dragon. And there is enough room on the bottom of the room to do a 2-tap short charge, which will be useful. So what I did there was I got grabbed while in the wind-up animation of a Shine Spark, which is what happens when you press the button to do it when you're not moving or pressing a directional button.
And that'll give him a blue suit.
And by interrupting the beginning of a Shine Spark like that, I got this persistent state of speed echoes.
So now he has, by getting this blue suit, he has a shine charge that he can discharge anywhere he wants.
However, I cannot use the run button while I am in this state. So until I do use up this charge, my movement is going to be a little bit slower.
And now Stump has also picked up Space Jump, which will let him jump continuously in midair. There is a bit of timing to using it out of water, but when you're in water, you can essentially just spam jump.
Oh, too low.
That looked like it was about maybe a pixel too low.
Yeah, that would have taken me all the way across the top of this room. That would have been known as the reverse Haffy because it's the opposite of the full Haffy. And also much easier to do than it. But now that Dragon's defeated, there is item cleanup to do. And this is where many trips through Aqueduct will happen due to these one-way sand passages. Also, I turned around as I was landing on it, so that due to turning around being in uninterruptible animation, I don't get slowed down by the sand until that finishes. So that's known as quick dropping.
And soon it'll be time to pay our old friend Shack Tool a visit.
Oh, yes, it will.
And thankfully this time he doesn't have the fire rod.
Yeah, he does have another quite useful item, but not an essential one, except for this being 100%, so we need it no matter what it is. There was another quick drop through the sand. That's a breakable grapple block. It breaks, there's a slightly delayed after you grapple from it. And above it is this.
Hi Shack Tool, how are you doing today?
Yep, this is Shack Tool. Shack Tool's spiky wheels are the only thing that can break these sand blocks. Well, until you get to the snails at the opposite end, which can also break them, but those are too far away to use from this side.
Actually, any enemy can break these. Just enemy contact is what causes them to break. You'll see you'll see that in a lot of Super Metroid hacks. You'll just be able to see that as well if you open the game up in Smile, which is the level editor. There's the best item in the
our
game.
prize for that is truly the best item in the game, Spring Ball. This allows us to jump while morphed, which is surprisingly useful.
And also, this also lets you very easily jump off of crumble blocks. Because you'll continuously jump if you're morphed and holding down jump.
Yep, Spring Ball is a very safe way to get across crumble blocks when falling through them would have a very undesirable outcome.
Time to go up the toilet.
Yep. One of the notable things about Meridia routes is that any percent and 100% routes go through that in different directions.
Yes, any percent goes down the toilet, that goes up it. And then Stump's next item he will pick up is a very, very powerful weapon upgrade.
Yep, this is the most powerful beam upgrade to be something that you can pick up and use in the main part of the game.
A plasma beam will allow Stump's beam to penetrate through enemies, and it will triple the damage that he does. And it is not quite necessary to escape from this room, but it is the fastest way to escape from this room. The pink pirates can only be killed with a pseudo screw, with plasma beam, or with actual screw attack.
Or with Shine Spark Echoes.
Oh, Shine Spark Echoes, yes.
And since there's another set of sand pits to deal with, we'll get to the top of them by going through Cack-Attack Alley. This is another part that's traversed in the other direction in any percent. Also, they drop supers, which are useful.
So then this route will just take Stump conveniently back to Aqueduct, where we'll be able to get Aqueduct Missile, Aqueduct Super, and the items in the left sand pit.
Yes. Yeah, those two sand pits are why two passes are needed. Oh, I almost had the echoes for the along the top there. But we have this pack of missiles and this pack of super missiles at the top. But now that left sand pit is all that remains in Meridia.
Nice to be able to actually do everything in one trip here because Meridia is big.
Yep, big and involved, especially with all these one-way rooms. Here's an example of taking advantage of Spring Ball's effect on crumble blocks. As long as you're holding the jump button, you will bounce off the crumble block before the crumble block crumbles.
Because without Spring Ball jumping off of them, it's a pretty small window. I want to say it's just a couple of frames. And in a lot of later Metroid games, it's actually just one frame. So now that Stump is done in Meridia, we are going to be heading back down into Dorfair, and particularly Ridley's Lair, where we will hear the best song in the game.
Yes, definitely the best song in the game. But we got a little something to do first.
Yes, we do need... This is where we'll go back into Kraid's Lair to get Kraid Missile. Unfortunately, we're unable to pick up this missile our first time through Kraid's Lair because it is gated by power bombs.
Some runners have been known to get the power bombs at the top from the top of Red Tower before going down, so that they can do this in one pass. Right, that finishes up Kraid's Lair. And mouthball for the exit there, which is mockballing across that out of the mouth of the entry of Kraid's Lair, is much easier the second time than the first time. And here's where we'll get Ice Beam. Oh, I lost my speed there. I would have bounced off the platform in speedball form. But this is all of the beams now.
So with all 5 beams, the Stump will now be able to just lay waste to most enemies in the game.
Right. A charge shot from this does 900 damage, which is the highest of any beam except for the hyper beam at the end. Alright, let's see if I can keep all of my speed through these rooms. I don't have as much speed there as I could, but I still have quite a bit. Let's see about Chronic Boost. Oh, well, it would help if the power bomb was low enough to open the door.
One tile too high.
I'm doing this with charge held because that does pseudo screw, which uh, can protect you from some sources of damage, such as those fireballs, much like screw attack would.
And the Namahe fireballs hurt. They, with full suit, they do 50 damage.
Also, welcome to Lower Norfair, and the best piece of music in this game.
It's really too bad that Lower Norfair is so short.
And that it really is. And also that the items are spaced close enough together that in this category we don't get to... the music doesn't get to go too far. Here will be another, probably the most notable place where we take advantage of the safety of Spring Ball.
Oh, absolutely.
I could space jump across there, but if I mess the input up, I would be likely to fall through.
We call that one Showcase Showdown Missile because if you fall through those crumble blocks, you have to go... If you fall through the crumble blocks, it doesn't count, and you have to go all the way around Lower Norfair to try again.
Yeah. Also, by doing this and being crouched and firing upwards, I can double hit with those plasma shots.
And Golden Chorizo can't hit you.
Yes. I'm too far right to be hit by Golden Chorizo's attacks, but too far left to be taking damage from Golden Chorizo's body. So I can sit there and... wasn't sure the door opened.
Screw attack.
Yeah, so I could stand in that spot and fire shots upwards until Golden Chorizo's dead.
So the screw attack allows Samus to deal damage to enemies just by spinning into them. And the screw attack also destroys bomb blocks, which is one way to get through this room.
Yeah.
The red key hunters that you'll see in Lower Norfair actually have to be weak to screw attack because they have so much HP that screw attack doesn't one-shot them.
Yeah, having screw attack actually causes that room I just exited not to live up to its traditional name in this category.
That room is called the worst room in the game. It's pretty terrible in every category except 100%.
Now I jump through this door so that I can keep my space jump going, so that I don't have to go all the way down to the bottom there.
This room is called Amphitheater. It can be very easy to die in this room playing casually, because there's acid rising up from the bottom of that room, and it fills almost the entire room. These are the red key hunters I was talking about.
Yeah, by going slightly out of the way to kill that second one, I reduced some lag off of these power bombs. You'll see that in action when I'm coming back through here. And these are known as the power bombs of shame, but in this category, it would be shameful not to get them.
They're called the power bombs of shame because if you're low on power bombs going through Lower Norfair in any percent, you may need to grab them. Time for Ninja Pirates.
Yep. Oh. Oh, come on.
Now, the Ninja Pirates can only be killed when their bodies flash gold. Otherwise, they reflect all attacks.
Yeah, I was trying to hitbox through them and charge up a spark to kill the first one with Shine Spark Echoes. but I took a hit from the second one.
And Ridley with Charge Ice Wave Plasma should go down pretty quickly.
Yeah, with this beam combination, Ridley only takes 20 shots.
Now, Ridley won't actually explode at 0 HP. I want to say before Ridley actually explodes from just your shots, it's 9,000 additional damage. Great Ridley fight, though.
Yeah, there are some other conditions that have to be met for Ridley to spontaneously die. Otherwise, you need him to grab you after he's reached 0. So you gotta keep track of the number of shots that have hit him and then intentionally get grabbed to have the fastest fight.
And in other categories where you don't have full beams, the fastest way to defeat Ridley is super missiles, because Ridley is weak to super missiles.
Yep. 30 super missiles will kill Ridley. But if Ridley wasn't weak to them, that number would be 60, which is more than the number of super missiles that there are in vanilla.
So now all 4 of the golden 4 are taken care of. Great speedball.
Yeah, you can mock ball with speed echoes, and that gives you, that lets you keep them into a ball form. And that can be useful for passages that have bomb blocks in them.
So now all there is left is just to go back to clean up the rest of Bubble Mountain. And then, well, of course, Lower Norfair Escape, and then
Right.
Bubble Mountain. Yeah, Bubble Mountain and Retro Brinstar.
Yeah, there's a little morph maze here, and that leads to a room that has a pack of power bombs in it and crumble blocks, keeping. Whoops. Thought I had unmorphed before that, but with crumble blocks arranged in such a way that I can only go from the top entrance to the left one.
Also, chat, get your Franker Z's ready.
Yes, there is one more missile pack in Lower Norfair, and it is known as the Franker Z missiles for reasons you are about to see. I think that the shape of this is really supposed to be a missile pack.
I think so as well, but I like Franker Z a little better.
Yeah, and those 3 key hunters at the end are known as the 3 Musketeers. They are infamous for ending runs of other categories.
And that's yet another reason why 100% item completion is the most accessible category of this game. So now we just need to go over to Norfair Reserve, get the Bubble Mountain Missile, and that should be everything down here.
Yeah, this is up, where that item plus missile pattern comes in. This was that missile that I initially thought I had forgotten to get in the combo rando last night. And that power bomb opens up a passage to the lower left door. And that missile is the final item in Norfair. So now I can make my way to the Torian entrance while doing final cleanup of Brinstar and Criteria along the way.
And we get to go through one of the fastest rooms in the game as well. Room very useful in other categories, Frog Speedway.
Yep, but that's it for Norfair. Yeah, the next main part of the item collection here is going to be cleaning out Blue Brinstar, but before that, there is X-Ray. Oh.
There is X-Ray.
There definitely is X-Ray. The reason that we get it last is because having it can get in the way of some of the inputs required to do certain things. Notably, if I select through it and I'm moving, I will immediately stop. And you don't want that. Space Jump and Screw Attack combine to make this a very straightforward room to get through.
Because if you had to go through that room earlier in the game, that room could be very, very dangerous. There are metal spikes everywhere on the floor. And you're expected to have Grapple Beam for it. But thankfully with Space Jump and Screw Attack, nothing at this point in the game is really a threat. And also with 13 energy tanks.
And 4 reserves. Now here is where that power bomb I laid earlier that didn't have any immediate benefit comes into play.
Also, oh, we did get that.
This door is the one that would be yellow if I hadn't laid that power bomb. And here we are in Blue Brinstar again. And there are a good number of items to the right side here.
Most of these can be acquired earlier in the game. It's just not convenient for us to return here until now. And that is the final energy tank.
Yep, and that placement is a callback to the first Metroid game. Like many other things in this game.
But wait, there's more. Call now after ordering your first missile pack. And we'll send you a second one, absolutely free. So this room is called the Billy Mays room for that reason. I want to say that originated in one of the more recent 100% tournaments.
That missile finishes Brinstar. The only things that are left are 2 missile packs and 1 super missile pack in Criteria. Also, you can take Shine Spark charges up elevators and they don't count down while you're doing so.
I don't believe that game time runs during elevators either.
So there's this missile under Old Mother Brain.
It's Criteria Shaft Supers. And then the Omega. Now, even though Stump has Screw Attack, he does need to be careful while wall jumping, because while Samus is in the wall jump animation, the Screw Attack is not active.
Yeah, and by properly timing that shot, I am able to freeze those slime things right in front of me and keep running across them. And here is the final item.
The only thing that's preventing you from getting this earlier in the game is bombs. It's just not convenient to come up here until now. So that should be everything.
Well, it's certainly the right number of missiles.
I can't think of anything you forgot.
Yeah, I can't either. Hopefully we'll, off of the drops from the Metroids, we'll see those second 2 numbers go up to 50 and 50, although, well, it would be quite unlikely for enough power bombs to drop to cause that to happen, but I can't think of any that I would have missed. The missiles are the important thing because those are the easiest one to forget one of, because many of the packs of those are like sort of additional things in rooms that have something more important in them. And also there are 46 of them. So this is the statue room where I wait for the statues to do what they're doing. The randomizer removed this and had the way onward open immediately, but in the vanilla game we'll have to wait. And this provides a nice break before the end game.
Turian has a lot of very intense rooms, especially the 4 Metroid rooms. There's a lot of menuing, and if you mess up any of the menus, you can get grabbed by Metroids and lose a lot of time.
I don't think I activated the elevator, but I am turning Screw Attack off. Oh, yeah, I wasn't all the way on the elevator. But I turned Screw Attack off to set up for a trick later. If I had activated the elevator, then there would have been much less time between that unpause and when I warped in. So that's the first Metroid room. Here's the second one. And the Metroids They need to be frozen and then have a super missile used. Or 3 power bombs will work too.
Great grouping strategies.
Yeah, I didn't really need to do that because I am not in any way hurting for items, but it's still a nice thing to see.
Now, baby. So the reason he's emptying his reserves here is to set up for a crystal flash after the baby grabs him. This is not too terribly much faster than refilling at the refill station afterward, but it is faster.
Ah. Well, I'll get power bomb selected so that I can immediately do this crystal flash. And what I did there was I held the shoulder buttons and down and shot while that power bomb was exploding on me. I also had to have enough ammo and sufficiently low health and no reserves.
Specifically, it's 50 or it's less than 50 energy, empty reserves, and then you need 10 of each type of ammunition plus a power bomb to start it, and it refills 1500 energy. So if you have more than 15 tanks between reserves and regular energy, it won't actually fill you up all the way. Great, first try. So that's Zebetite skip. The Zebetites only spawn after you kill the previous one. So by clipping through the first one, neither of the rest of them are there, and it saves a lot of time and ammo.
Yep, and that happens by freezing that lower Rinka and then getting iframes and spin jumping in to trick the game into thinking I'm standing on it.
Thankfully, Mother Brain is pretty easy in 100%, just because of having all these beams. It only takes 20 charge shots.
Yeah, typically only one catch-up comes out, and this fight's over before it even starts.
As opposed to other categories such as 14% ice.
Yep, that one requires 200. And 14% speed requires 300 shots.
So now he's damaging down here to try to set up for stand-up glitch.
Yep. So I tried to have health in the 700s during this, and I have Vario off so that does 600. And then that makes it easy to then get below 100 so that the next phase of this happens. And I make sure that I'm off the ground during it. Having at least 700 during the rainbow beam is what allows me to regain control after it.
And what this is going to allow Stump to do is damage Mother Brain 3 during this cutscene. And it saves, I would say, 15 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, somewhere around that. But as soon as the last color change there happens, that was a double hit. As soon as the last color change there happens, Mother Brain has been given her third phase's health, which I can start to take away by firing through the Metroid, but I have to do it point blank because otherwise the Metroid absorbs the shots. But each of these shots does 90% of the damage that a single Hyper Beam shot would, which is quite a lot. And because of that damage from doing stand-up, it only takes a few Hyper Beam shots to finish off Mother Brain's third phase.
And then all that we have left is the escape.
That is right.
And the animals are dying.
Yes, they are, because this is a speedrunning marathon.
Frame perfect escape.
Yep. Yeah, Hyper Beam actually can destroy those gates that are closing on you. Now, I aim down here to compress Samus's hitbox to make it under that little corner there. And then the iframes from that hit let me wall jump through that space pyre on the left wall at the beginning of this room.
Behemoth Spark!
Sure. If you line it up right, you can do a diagonal spark up from there, and you won't hit the platforms.
By the way, time is coming up soon.
Oh yeah, time's going to be when I'm facing forward on the ship, which is going to be in a few seconds. Ready? And... Oops, speed echoes, nice. Time.
That was a great run.
Yep, and now soon we'll see. We gotta make sure I do have 100%.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't either, but I
Never
at
know.
least had all the missiles, but we gotta make sure. No.
And also when we get to the point in the credits, I want this room to erupt with Deer Force. So when it comes up in the credits, I want everybody in this room to shout Deer Force.
It's unfortunate that we had to leave the animals there, but it's a speedrun.
I think most of the time lost in this run was just movement.
I think. Yeah, well, there also was having to ship refill due to what happened in Spiky Death.
If anything, that's probably the biggest single mistake.
Yeah. And then I missed some of the... I missed the short charge during the first Dragon Goop phase. And Fantoon could have been better too.
This game is timeless.
It truly is. And one of the things I do like is that there's so much depth to the routing. And possibilities.
There's other ways to play this game too. Besides the null and the item randomizer, there's a big community for Super Metroid Bingo as well. Matter of fact, I want to say isn't there a double anti-bingo tournament going on right now?
There might be.
And chat too, I want you to participate in this. When you see it on the screen, start spamming Deer Force in chat. Dear Force.
And now we make sure that this was 100%.
We do, yes.
All right.
Well done. Great run.
Thanks. All right. Well, that was Super Metroid 100%. My name's Stump, and this was Riker Rider with me. And yeah, good luck to the rest of the runners. And thanks to NASA for having this run and all of my other ones.